There's going to be too much drama after what's happened over the last couple of weeks.
Are you referring specifically to who gets the main event and whether or not it's the women?
Yeah, there's word going around now that it's either going to go on first or last. There's no gray area. So, I think some people in WWE, it's reported that they're thinking, hey, if we put it on first, nobody's going to leave after that because they'll want to see the rest of the card. But if we put it on as the third match to the end, in the triple main event deal, then people will leave after because they'll be pissed off.
Well, personally, I don't want 3 Hell in a Cell matches in a row, so they got to do one way, way early. I hope it's not the women, because I think they deserve the main event.
Well, it's not going to be Roman Reigns.
No. God, no.
And I doubt very seriously it'll be the top title on Raw.
I don't know. I have no idea what order they're going to do. I guess that's just going to be a mystery that we'll solve on Sunday. But, Jason, are you in any way excited about this?
I'm actually more excited about the pre-show match than I am for any of the main card matches.
Well, why don't we just go ahead and run down the order then, because that pre-show match will involve Cedric Alexander, Lince Dorado, and Sin Cara going against Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, and Arya Daivari.
This one should be awesome. Talk about your infusion of fresh blood into WWE. It's kind of a shame this is on the pre-show. This match definitely deserves to be on the main card itself. Just all great talents in there. A guy with strength like Tony Nese, guys that are luchadors like Sin Cara and Lince Dorado and Cedric Alexander, who's a great talent in and of himself. Gulak and Daivari are no slouches either, and I expect great things from this match.
It should be
My
fun.
question is, where is Neville? The guy that should be the epitome of the cruiserweights, and he's not in the match, but Sin Cara is.
I guess he needs a heavyweight to hold his mind down.
I mean, I don't get it.
I don't get his theme song either, but yeah, he's definitely in the wrong place at the wrong time, because if this had started in 2014, he would have been the Cruiserweight champion coming out of that show.
It's I don't know, I just have this nasty suspicion that the Cruiserweights are bombing on Raw, and it's not going to last long.
Well, when you put them in the middle of the third hour when people are already sick and tired of watching 3 hours of wrestling, how can it not bomb?
Yeah, and they're, when it was on the WWE network and it was the Cruiserweight Classics, it was what they were doing was special. And it was different and unique. And now you put them on the main show and it's well, they're kind of doing basically what everybody else is doing. So how is this special?
Well, speaking of how is it special, I can't even pick a winner in this 6-man tag because which of these teams means anything? It's not like they're regular units. They're just random guys thrown together randomly.
That's WWE's specialty, though. Random shit for random shit's sake.
Yeah. Well, I suppose then I'll make a random prediction for random shit's sake. One team has 2 luchadors, so that team's going to win. Sin Cara, Lince Dorado, Cedric Alexander.
Alexander's going to pin Daivari. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, Roman Reigns and Rusev with the United States title on the line. That's one of the 3 Hell in a Cell matches. And I know Abby's not going to want to watch it, and I suspect Jason's going to need some Nikolai vodka to get through it.
Unless Roman Reigns gets legit injured, but yeah, probably will need a lot of Nikolai vodka to get through that, or something harder maybe some 151.
Why is it that every time I see Rusev on TV anymore, he comes across like the baby face instead of the heel, and Roman Reigns just comes off like a total jackass?
Because they keep trying to shove Roman Reigns down your throat as the next John Cena babyface. And it didn't work in January, it didn't work in February, and it's damn sure not working here in October.
Well, the reason it backfires to me is because Rusev is more funny and more entertaining than Roman Reigns. It's like, shut up, Roman, quit interrupting Rusev's family photo album. I want to watch this.
Yeah, the thing is, they've made it to where Rusev is standing up for his family. He's standing up for his wife, and Roman's out there just acting like a cocky little shit. So I don't know what they think they're accomplishing with this. Are we supposed to boo Rusev because he's a foreigner? Is Vince still thinking along those lines?
Well, it's funny you say that because I heard something about Vince McMahon this week that I shouldn't be surprised by, but I'll just fuck it. This is the proof that he still thinks this way, that 40 years ago, when it was still his father's company and not his, he learned from the bookers at the time that a local babyface never gets over in his hometown. Like, they should always struggle in their hometown. And he's still booking that way 40 years later, so of course he still thinks foreigners are still the heels.
He is so out of touch. So out of touch.
Well, we haven't even talked about how out of touch he was with that Brock Lesnar segment on Raw.
Oh,
Do we want to segue into that real quick?
Yeah.
That was so bad.
It backfired horribly. And at first I thought it backfired on purpose because that was the only way my brain could interpret the shit I was seeing. Like, Paul Heyman's botching this on purpose.
I was going to say, when is the last time you've seen Paul Heyman fail that miserably at a promo?
I just had to think that was his plan all along. He's going out here and burning this to the ground because he's been told to go out and make it fail.
No. They really
thought that they wouldn't get a Brock Lesnar chant and a Goldberg sucks chant. Sorry, Abby, go ahead.
I mean, number one, you were in the wrong state to try to do this. You're in the wrong city to try to do this.
Wrong venue, wrong everything.
Yeah, I don't even think it would work anywhere except maybe Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I knew something was up when they started playing Lesnar's music out of the blue, and Lesnar and Heyman looked at each other and kind of haltingly left the ring, and the commentators were quiet, and it's like, oh, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Vince apparently blew his shit backstage and told him play the music, end the segment.
Yeah, we didn't get Minnesota. This is where they cheer the guys that usually boo and boo the guys that usually cheer. We didn't even get that kind of schmoz from the commentators.
No. They was like, everybody was just, okay, we're commercial time. Didn't even say it. It was just like, it was the most awkward ending to a segment I had ever seen.
I mean, it would have saved it a little bit if they had said, yeah, well, if they had overstated the obvious and said, this is a very partisan hometown Brock Lesnar crowd. That would have been something, but just to completely cut the segment off and just silence nothing.
Well, I had to watch it a second time just to, again, try to bend my brain around what I was seeing. And Heyman was trying so hard, harder than I actually gave him credit for. He picked out one lone fan in the crowd and tried to make him the epitome of what he was saying to make his point, and it didn't work because 15,000 other people were doing something different than that one person.
You were getting Suplex City chants and Goldberg sucks chants, and it was like, this is how it's going to be. Yeah, it was nice last week to, see Goldberg come back and get that great reception he got. But I think anybody with a working brain thought this is the only time it's going to happen. Because as soon as Brock comes back, it's not going to matter. This is something even Paul Heyman can't sell.
And it's going to be in Toronto, too, which is always Bizarro World for wrestling fans. And then there's also Goldberg, who put Bret Hart out of action, which may be sitting in the minds of fans, too. So if they're trying to get Goldberg over as the babyface, yeah, that's not the best idea.
And one more problem with this. Why did Brock Lesnar even need to be there? They might have had a chance if it was just Paul Heyman just cutting a promo and just getting the fans riled up. But with Brock Lesnar there, standing in the middle of the ring in his hometown, in his home state, of course they were going to go nuts for Brock Lesnar. Why even bring him out when you know that's what's going to happen?
Because it's what's going to happen everywhere.
But they could have at least tried. I mean, they only have a limited number of dates with Lesnar. Why burn one of them for an appearance where he just stands there and does nothing?
That's all he ever does unless he's in a match, is stand there and do nothing. He never talks. He hops up and down from foot to foot, tries to look intimidating, breaks out in a sweat, and then leaves.
He smirks, too.
Oh, it was so funny. He had to just bite his lip to stop from laughing out loud during the middle of this whole thing. You could see his face was red. He was biting his lip, and you could just see he was doing everything he could not to just burst out laughing.
To be honest, that was one of the most enjoyable things about his post-fight press conference at UFC 200 was where he just got to laugh because he wanted to. He didn't have to pretend to not like what happened.
I mean, and I'm sure that WWE thought, well, we're not going to pass up this opportunity because since we had Goldberg last week, We need Brock to be visible this week. You know, and then after that segment bombs, they go out on a Tuesday afternoon at about 3 o'clock and announce on Twitter that the match is signed for Survivor Series. It's like they're already losing faith in it, so.
Yeah, they couldn't even be bothered to announce it on Raw or SmackDown. They thought social media was the way to get that over.
No, we all just laughed about it. You know, it was like, it's a Tuesday afternoon at like 3:15.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, back to Hell in a Cell, because we could shit on this one for hours if we wanted to, but let's shit on Hell in a Cell instead. We've got TJ Perkins and Brian Kendrick, and apparently the booking for this is that Brian has a family to feed. He took a page out of Heath Slater's playbook.
He's got kids.
And he's got an above-ground swimming pool.
I don't know. I really want Spanky to win just because he's Spanky.
See, ordinarily I would agree with you, but this booking is so bass-ackwards. Like, you got to do me a favor. You got to go out there and lose. I need this for my family. No.
I don't like TJ Perkins, so.
I know you don't.
I'm not alone. All right.
I understand you don't like him, but I don't want Brian Kendrick to win because I'm so pathetic. Please lay down for me. What kind of bass-ackwards booking is that?
Well, it would be one thing if they go out there and have a finger poke of doom match, but you know they're not going to do that. So it's not like we're going to go out there and, you know, Kendrick is going to tap him on the chest and Perkins is just going to lay down.
I realize that, but if TJ Perkins doesn't win here, even if it's a competitive match, all you're going to remember afterwards is that he did the job because his friend asked him to.
Well, that
Are we ready to
falls in
admit that
line
TJ Perkins is a failed cruiserweight champion? I really think you need to put the belt on somebody else at this point before the whole division just kind of tanks.
But not this way, not like this.
Why do people keep looking for logic in things that WWE does?
Because I can't turn off my brain when I watch wrestling.
I can't either, but I have learned, especially on Raw, that there's no such thing as logic. Their field of common sense is barren. It doesn't exist.
Well,
There's only Vince logic.
Here's where I have to insert some common sense. The reason it worked with Heath Slater was because he was sympathetic. You could actually get behind him because this guy had been doing jobs on television for years, and we all felt for the poor guy and wanted him to get a break. And that's why him begging Rhino to be his partner made sense. That's the kind of angle where it's appropriate to be sad and pathetic. This one is not.
Yeah, but WWE's thinking is, oh, God, it worked for this guy. Let's have it work for this other one, too.
But it's completely not believable in the circumstance because
Have you noticed that Raw does not tell stories? SmackDown, other than it being 2 hours and a hell of a lot easier to watch, they have storyline progression. They have angles that progress from week to week. Raw does not have that.
I believe Brian actually was making fun of Raw and talking smack for that very reason. He said, we actually have matches, we actually have angles, we actually have things going on, unlike Raw. It's just 3 hours of nothing.
Yeah, wins and losses matter. The matches tell a story. It progresses from week to week. And with Raw, it's like, let's take everything we've got, throw it against the wall, and see what sticks. And when nothing sticks, well, damn it, we're going to try something completely different next week and forget everything we did the week before.
Well, speaking of throwing things at a wall to see what sticks, Bayley and Dana Brooke is the perfect example.
God.
This feud is so dead on arrival. It was a corpse before it even came out. You actually managed to get a crowd to not care about Bayley. Congratulations.
And I only see that continuing. You know, I can only see them continuing to misuse Bayley on the main roster on Raw.
They see Dana Brooke as this John Cena of, you know, the women's division. Why? Because she's got a fucking, you know, paid for chest and blonde hair and what, I mean, you've got Bayley who came in as probably the most over person on the roster, and now she's just kind of there. How do you fuck somebody like her up?
Well, they found a way. They put her with
McMahon.
They put her with a woman who can't do shit. Go ahead.
The thing is, I think this boils down to still Kevin Dunn bucky ass beaver in the back. He is so concerned with aesthetics that he doesn't see Bayley as the model, literally the model type that the women in the business are supposed to represent. Whereas Dana Brooke is attractive. She's had plastic surgery upon plastic surgery upon plastic surgery, runs around looking like a damn hooker. And I'm sorry, but she does. She's green as grass. She's not good in the ring. She is not good on the microphone, but she looks the part. Bayley does not.
All she looks to me is overinflated from her muscles to her chest.
Yeah, but that's what he likes.
No,
So,
I like Bayley. She looks like a real woman.
I do too. But Kevin Dunn doesn't. And this is the last person on the face of God's green earth that should be judging anybody on how they look or how they sound.
I know Lance Storm has said it's a cosmetic business and we should accept that and know that that's part of the wrestling industry, but there is a point where you have to draw a line in the sand and say it's not that cosmetic.
No, and it's not part of the wrestling industry. It's a part of WWE culture. You don't see this shit in other organizations. You look at some of the women in Japan and on the independent circuit. They're not fucking beauty queens. They're ass kickers, but they ain't beauty queens. They're not all, 5'6" and 110 pounds.
Oh, that reminds me. I know I'm going to get into a segue again, but we got the news that Io Shirai might be coming to WWE. What were your thoughts on that?
If she wants to do it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, but will she get over to the degree Asuka has?
Yeah, because she will only because if people remember their Joshi and Puro history, they were part of a stable together. So this will bring in somebody to NXT that can actually work with Asuka on her level, because right now there's nobody there that can.
I kind of think the way they use Asuka is to actually bring other people up to her level. They're trying to get her to bring everybody else up to her.
No, they're trying to bring her down to other people's levels.
I don't know. I actually thought Thea Trinidad, a.k.a. Rosita, was a pretty good match for her.
Yeah, but I mean, Asuka's been there for like a damn year. She's never been pinned. She's never been beat. She's never really looked to be in danger in any match. And you look at the crop of women they have down there now. Billie Kay, who looks like she should be in a burlesque show somewhere.
Australian Blue Pants.
Peyton Royce, who's a toothpick. Liv, whatever her name is, who's
Carmella 2.0.
Ember Moon is like the only one that could possibly be a threat to her, but they got to build her up sometime. They're going to have to keep doing this with bringing in one-offs with people who have a name to get in the ring with Asuka, just so it doesn't look stupid. Because or else they're doing what they did with some of the other women from NXT when they put them in the ring with Brie Bella. It's like, no, you can't wrestle the caliber you did in NXT. You have to wrestle at her caliber, which is 15 steps below yours.
And yet I would put Brie Bella 15 steps above Dana Brooke, so what does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly. But with the women who were having the caliber of matches that Bayley and Charlotte and, Sasha and Becky were in NXT in that class, they come up to the main roster and you put them in the ring with Brie Bella. You put them in the ring with
Brooke. Yeah.
It's just, it's not bringing these other people up to the level of Asuka and Charlotte and Sasha and Becky and Bayley. It's taking them down to the level of these other people.
Well, at least in SmackDown's near future, we're getting Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss. I can look forward to that much more than Bayley and Dana Brooke.
Yeah, Alexa, she's great. She is so good at just being horrible, nasty, mean.
Yeah, she is incredibly small, incredibly cute, and incredibly vicious. It's a weird combination, but it works.
Yeah, and she's good in the ring. She's incredibly good on the microphone. Her facial expressions are great. And it's like, okay, here are two that can wrestle at this level. And then you got Carmella, you got Dana Brooke. It's like there's definitely two tiers of women in WWE right now, and the two tiers should never mix. Mm-hmm. You should have your undercard women and then your main event women.
Well, for that reason, I'm going to hope that Bayley wins over Dana Brooke and moves on to something better, although I don't think that's the case.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
using
either.
logic again, Stevie.
They're hell-bent, from what everybody has said, on pushing Dana Brooke to the moon.
Yes, so unfortunately she probably wins. And
I wish we could just send her to the moon.
speaking of unfortunate, this feud that continues to do nothing for either side. The club doesn't get anything out of it. Enzo and Cass don't get anything out of it. It just does no favors for anybody.
I wish Anderson and Gallows had never come to WWE.
I had a feeling that was what you... I'll throw at that. I'll go ahead and say it because I figured you two were going to say it anyway.
I mean, they've been made to be a joke. I don't know. It's just it's sad.
A heel stable with AJ Styles and all stayed together, it would have worked.
Well, it was interesting today. Finn Balor is over in France doing the games thing, games week over in Paris.
Right, and apparently without his sling, he's got it off now.
He is sling free. Yes, he is finally sling free after 60 days. But yeah, he was asked about getting everybody back together, and he said there's a definite possibility that's going to happen.
Well, it sure wouldn't hurt. Maybe we can engineer a trade from Raw to SmackDown and make that possible.
I wish they would send like Sami Zayn and Cesaro and maybe Neville over to SmackDown.
Oh, let's not talk about Sami Zayn, because then I'm going to bitch about that segment with Braun Strowman.
Oh, God. And they're going to, I think they're wrestling Sunday, too.
What, in a dark match?
No, I think it's going to be added to the card.
I don't need to see that.
I don't either, because I will cry.
I cried just having to watch it on Raw. Like, okay, did they even ring the bell? Is this even a match? What's even the point here?
And Sami Zayn, of all people, who's one of the most over guys on the roster, again, kind of like Bayley, and you're going to make him the sacrificial lamb to, the jolly stupid giant over here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the muscular job squasher. That's pretty much his role right now. Anyway.
Zayn should not be in that position. He should be at least in the U.S. title picture. I mean, the Intercontinental. The U.S. title is on Raw.
Hell, he should be feuding with Kevin Owens for the Universal title, but we're not going to get that.
Not anytime soon.
No. So anyway, Enzo and Cass, Gallows and Anderson, who goes over in this?
If history has anything to say about it, Enzo and Cass. Because Cass is bigger and, Vince can jack off in the back to Cass thinking, oh my God, this guy's going to make me so much money.
Right.
No.
And he does like Enzo's promo work, so... As do I. I'm not going to belittle that. I do like Enzo on the stick.
Yeah, I do too. But, damn it, Anderson and Gallows have to win something sometime.
I think the only way that happens is if they get traded to SmackDown, like I said earlier.
Let's get all the really good people on SmackDown and send all the shit to Raw. That way I don't have to worry about watching Raw ever again.
Perhaps. Well, Jason, do you have a prediction on this?
I'm going to kind of go with the logic that WWE uses and just kind of go with the 50-50 booking because he lost in a singles match. I'm going to pick the club to win the match. For no other reason than 50-50 booking.
Kind of the old lose on Monday, win on Sunday. Is that what you're going with?
Yep.
It's not like wins and losses matter.
Yeah, well, their booking doesn't matter most of the time either, but I'll go with Jason's theory here. I'll actually pick the club. But we've got the New Day and Cesaro and Sheamus in our other match, and of course the tag team titles are on the line, so I expect the New Day to retain. I'll just say that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they haven't broken Demolition's record yet, so the Stale Day is going to hold on to those titles until they do.
And the whole odd couple thing with Cesaro and Sheamus has to continue where they're getting a little better as a team, but not enough that they won't still cost each other the match.
It's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous that Cesaro is in this position instead of getting a singles run.
Mm-hmm. But he's
another guy that needs to go over to SmackDown.
Yep.
Another guy that's way more over than what he's pushed.
Mm-hmm.
This is the curse of this entire WWE Raw pay-per-view is we're going through one feud after another where these people are just not being used right.
Nope.
And on that note, we've got only two more matches to talk about. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte and Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. Abby, which one do you want to start with?
We might as well start with the least controversial one.
That would be Owens and Rollins, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine Owens is retaining here. What do you think?
Yeah, I do too, because they can't have Seth win and then have Triple H come back and then start something up with those two.
No, we don't want Triple H in any kind of title picture at all.
Even the ugliest title in the company's picture.
I don't know if it's the ugliest, but it's not the prettiest.
What's uglier other than the cruiserweight title?
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
They're like neck and neck, though, you know.
Jason, what do you think about this match?
Yeah, it's kind of the wrong venue and the wrong time and the wrong character for Seth Rollins. If he was, full-on dastardly heel, I could see him taking the title in Hell in a Cell, but that's just not where he is right now. Kevin Owens needs to continue his run with the title, and he's going to hold on to it here.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I got the distinct impression listening to Kevin Owens' promo backstage that he was actually a babyface and not a heel going into this. He talked about how he'd been wanting to be in Hell in a Cell for 20 years ever since he saw the first one, and how much this meant to him, and how he would give up his life to protect what was his, that WWE Universal title. I'm like, this is a babyface promo.
Yeah. WWE and logic for you.
Backward ass booking.
Pretty much. The slow burn, face turn for Rollins it's a good thing in a way, but the day's going to have to come where we get that penultimate moment for Rollins to really just turn face, because that's the direction they're going in. And so far, it hasn't worked. Kidnapping the list was not a smart move.
No.
Because the list is the most over thing on Raw.
Right. That's actually more popular right now than a lot of the guys on the show.
Than about 90% of them. And the fact that one of the most entertaining aspects of Raw right now is 46-year-old Chris Jericho. And they're getting him more over than they are Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. That just, I don't get it.
Once again, backward ass booking. That's if I print a T-shirt, it's not going to be "you just made the list." It's going to be backward ass booking. Okay, so we have the controversial match, as Abby put it, left to talk about: Sasha Banks and Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship. And God bless Mick Foley, he tried to put this one on the right track, but I don't think he could do it all by himself.
No, he was so eager to make this match, but now it's all of a sudden, oh my God, it's so dangerous. Think about what you're doing. This did this to me and that to me. And it's like, dude, this ain't about you. Don't sit here and make it about you like you did 2 years ago with Ambrose and Rollins in Hell in a Cell.
But I did appreciate him putting the visual into people's heads of why he's walking the way he walks and in pain every single day, and trying to impart to them that it will do things to you. Look what it did to me. That's not such a bad thing to get across.
No, but this feud has been missing intensity and a fucking story other than, hey, we're going to make history. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about, I hate you, you hate me, I want what you have, and I'm going to take it.
I almost felt they got there at the very end when Sasha and Charlotte started trading barbs at each other. I finally felt like these women really do want to hurt each other, and they'll use the cage as a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, then you compare it to Becky and Alexa on SmackDown. It's like, that's what this feud should be.
Right. Knock somebody down and spray paint a yellow line on their back.
Yeah, but no, it's all been, I'm so honored, I'm so privileged, I want to make history. It's not about making history, damn it. And I'm so concerned that they're going to do something incredibly stupid in this match, and somebody's going to really get hurt because they're going to try to show up the guys.
You think they're going off the top of the cage?
I hope to hell they don't. I mean, Sasha has got a a near-death moment in every match, and in a cage, in Hell in a Cell. No, I don't want to see them on top of the cage. I don't want to see them climbing the cage. No.
And especially with the number of injuries that she's had in the last year, you don't need to do something high risk that's going to just guarantee that she gets hurt again.
No, you really don't. And I'm worried that this is going to not be good.
Do you at least see Sasha retaining, though?
As long as she doesn't die.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but if they've got some dumbass spot planned, they can have a good match in the ring inside the cell without having to utilize the cell.
True. I just hope that the only use of the cell is to whip each other into the cage wall when they go outside of the ring, inside the structure. That's all I want.
Yeah, don't be climbing the cage or getting up on top of it or falling through the top of it, which I can kind of see happening too.
Jason, what do you expect? Who do you think retains or wins in this?
It's kind of a double-edged sword, what you're talking about, where there is kind of that, what's been said about them wanting to make history, but then at the same time, if they're going to be in Hell in a Cell and not do much with it, you can kind of almost have the opposite effect of that and have a letdown. I think they can use the cage. They don't have to climb it, but, say Charlotte gets out a pair of handcuffs and cuffs Banks to the cage and just starts beating her, or takes her face and rakes it along the cage. I mean, there's things you can do that aren't high spots that can still be devastating with the cage, and I hope they don't, do this with baby gloves on. I hope that they do use the cage and the cell to their advantage. But yeah, no, I don't want to see them jumping off the top of the cage like Mick Foley did here in my hometown of Pittsburgh and crippling themselves. But, at the same time, I don't want to see just a regular singles match inside of Hell in a Cell. I do think Sasha Banks is going to retain, but I want to see something just brutal, like your old school feud ending cage matches used to be.
Do you want blood?
I wouldn't be against it.
I am. And it's not a sexist thing. It's not a feminist thing. I don't think that it needs to happen. If it's not going to happen in the guys' matches, don't do it in the women's match just for shock value.
That's fair.
Because that's all it would be for shock value.
And if you want to see women get bloody, it's not like you can't turn on UFC and watch that on TV anyway.
True.
I think this is either going to be really, really good or really, really bad, and there's not going to be a lot of middle ground.